What's going on, guys? Cole just sitting back and just chilling. not a care in the world. It is the Going Broadway podcast. It is Alex. It is Cole. Cole, it's been a minute. What's going on?
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the greatest wrestling podcast ever. We sincerely appreciate you joining us this evening, and we encourage you to stick around because we have some very, very big announcements that we need everybody on for. So please chill with us. I promise you, we plan to make this show a little bit shorter tonight so that everyone can stay on and be a part of it.
Indeed. But yeah, we are going to save the announcements, news, etc. until the end. So stick around. But that being said, we do have some stuff we want to talk about first. So we are just going to jump right in. And we'll just start off with this. Stoney said it.
Yeah.
Total Nonstop Action is back. What are your thoughts on this?
I'm excited. I hope it means a complete reboot of the old school TNA.
Hold that thought, Chris. Knock on wood right now. So I was telling Cole before we started the show, I reconfigured my entire computer setup. Like I went from switched out from a PC that I was using to a Mac Mini, and I figured out that I'm pretty sure it's actually the camera that was the issue because it's gone out actually a couple times during setup and during the countdown. But all I had to do was stop the camera and then start it, and it seemed to be fine. So I don't know. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, I hope that it's a complete reboot and rebranding back to the old Impact, like the 6-sided ring. I want all of the old school like matches back, the old pay-per-views, and I kind of hope this means that they have a few of the OGs, maybe, that can at least some cameo appearances, some returns and whatnot, but pay homage in some kind of ways to some of the different matches and stuff that they've had in the past. But the 6 sides of steel, lethal lockdown matches, all that stuff. I kind of want to get back to what it used to be, and hope maybe they can even work it out with AEW. Maybe AEW will allow some of the OG, TNA guys.
I'd like to see some Black Machismo back in TNA.
That Samoa Joe, we could get like one last time, like Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels match.
Mm-hmm.
So just give me some stuff. I wouldn't mind to see, Robert Roode maybe leave WWE at this point now, just to see him back in TNA, like some of those things, a beer money, reuniting maybe, some of those things. So I'm excited. It definitely shocked me. I was not expecting it.
Did you see the video package that they aired during the event? I got chills from it.
It was great.
It was cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I figured her off the top would kind of just be jumping around a little bit. We also we kind of talked a little bit about this, but and Thomas actually just asked about it. NWA getting a deal with CW. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm excited because the products that I think I have more interest in but have no access to, like NWA. I would watch a lot more NWA if I didn't have to go so far out of my way to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
So CW makes it really easy to watch it now. It makes it really easy to get more eyes on the product. And they have a pretty good product. So my hope is that TNA gets away from Access TV so that I can watch it. I'd like to see them on a different network. And I think switching back to TNA actually gives them an advantage in that regard. Same with NWA. I've always wanted to watch more NWA and just feel like I got to go out of my way to watch it, with it being pretty much YouTube. Right. So, with this being on CW, it allows a lot more room for me to tune in a little bit more often and see what they're doing.
Indeed. We have Sting's upcoming retirement. Yes, we have to talk a little bit of AEW. But uh, I'm torn on this, but not for the reason a lot of you guys probably think. I'm torn because I'm I'm over the retirements and then the unretirement.
Yeah.
Is this going to stick this time? I know he said that the only thing that's for sure this time is that this is for sure. You know, I mean, I'll believe it when I see it. But who should his last match be? And I'm sorry, but Darby Allin is not the right answer. Is it going to be that? Unfortunately, I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm sorry. Just Darby Allin's not doing it for me. This could be a whole nother topic, but he's doing tricks during Nitro Circus whenever he's being paid to be a professional wrestler, taking bumps on a skate park. It's like, come on.
I mean, the Darby thing, it wouldn't even be a good match.
No.
Like even if Darby was killing the game, Sting's like what, 6'6" probably. I mean, he's tall.
I don't think he's that tall. He's maybe 6'3", 6'4".
6'4". I mean, he's tall. He's a big dude. My point is, him versus Darby, it's like their styles clash. It's not.
No pun intended.
It's just not there. If they were gonna do anything, I feel like it needs to be an homage to his legacy. I feel like it needs to be like a Jeff Jarrett, Christian, Edge, if you want to get a marquee match in for it. And it doesn't really hurt Edge whether or not he wins or loses. He's Edge.
Yeah. I mean, my thought was like, what's going to be, looking at it from a couple different ways. You can look at it, like you just said, you can look at it from the perspective of what's going to be more so, you know, the nostalgia factor. What's going to bring that nostalgia factor? Or do you want to go the route of what could be that Sting Taker match that we never got? Like, what would come closest to that?
It also depends on it really boils down to what's Sting's heart with his retirement, because the creative control is all in his hand, and you know that, with it being AEW. Is he wanting to get somebody over, or is it more like, I'm going now, I want my blaze of glory moment, I want to win, I want to go out on top.
Sure.
I don't think you can do him versus Darby and get Darby over. I don't think that it has that success. I don't think there's really anyone on the roster that Sting fights and gets over. So
unless it's like you're going to turn Darby into this heel on the way out, which even I think that would be a bad idea too. But none of that feels believable, though. You know. No, I agree, but a lot of stuff that AEW doesn't feel believable.
True.
I'm just trying to have that AEW swerve, not the wrestler, like pull a swerve kind of mentality. So
I think for me, it would have to be like someone from his Impact or WCW day. Like it would have to. I think I like Jeff Jarrett. Samoa Joe. You know, they got the main event, but Mafia ties.
Sure.
Even if it's Jay Lethal with Jeff Jarrett in his corner, I think Lethal would do right by him. The storyline you could run is that he wants to go out on top, so you could have him challenge MJF, and if he wins, he retires and vacates the belt, but it would be him going out on top, and that could be.
What a way to kill that MJF title run, though, if that's how they do it.
Or he loses, right? But I think MJF would do him a good service as far as putting on a really great last match, though.
Sure.
And the storyline at least is somewhat there. Or if you wanted to do it with the ROH title, however you want to do it, I just think it's got to be something more special than. I don't think Darby is special. I know they've been pretty much a tag team unit since he's got there. If Cody was still there, I would say Cody.
Oh, 100%.
Maybe it's Kenny Omega. Maybe it's just a big name in general.
Maybe
Danielson. Claudio, and John Moxley, whatever you want to do, as long as it feels special. And I think that's the big thing for me, is that if they go Darby, it doesn't feel special. It feels like you have to, not that you want to. I would much rather see them hug it out in the ring and a pass of the torch of, here you go, Darby, like that, than I would a Darby Sting match where he lets Darby get over and then hands it to him. Sure. I don't think Darby's the same caliber of wrestler. So
let's change gears. This is a long overdue topic that we're gonna get to depending on podcast dates and stuff getting canceled and moved around.
Yeah.
So recently we've seen Jade Cargill make the move. My mind's going blank. Who else have we seen?
Well, Edge. Dolph Ziggler.
Well, Dolph hasn't made a move yet, but so I mean that's a good segue. Who do you think we might see make that? That Pillman. That's what I was trying to think of. Brian Pillman Jr.
Oh yeah.
Thank you. Who might we see make that WWE to AEW or vice versa, or come over from New Japan or go to New Japan? I mean, we can throw Impact into this. Who do we see making the move?
So before we do that, real quick, can we just address the fact that Jade Cargill has been booked so correctly by WWE?
100%.
How do you go from, we all hated this chick,
exactly,
in AEW, she wasn't good at all, and this is the difference. If this is not the difference between WWE and AEW, I don't know what is. It is being able to take the talent and make the talent feel special. I know they've dropped the ball in the past on other talents that clearly had the talent, and I'm not saying that they're perfect at it, but this is the difference. You take Jade Cargill, who we all hated in AEW. You probably couldn't find me 10 people that were like, man, Jade Cargill is just the best on AEW. But WWE found a way to just market her perfectly. And everyone's excited that she's there. And now they're talking about dream tag teams between her and Bianca, or a dream match between her and Bianca, and all the different, matchups and stuff that she could have. And I'm like, wow, the difference of the machine. Brian Pillman Jr. was a freaking enhancement talent in AEW. They got this man cutting promos in this big video package and making him feel really, really special on NXT. And it's like, this is the difference between WWE and AEW. I'm still convinced WWE needs to run a legacy reboot storyline with Cody at the head of it, and do like Pillman and Braun Breaker, and if Brock Anderson's coming in, or whoever else they can get that kind of fits that mold. I feel like that needs to happen. So Alex, I believe, is still here. His camera just went down, so we're trying to get his camera figured out. But yeah, I like how they've done that. And then I'll also say this while Alex is rebooting his camera. What a difference it makes again on the AEW side. Edge comes and the needle isn't moved at all. Like when you look at ratings, Edge didn't move the needle. And this is not me. I love Edge. Edge is one of my favorites, but he doesn't move the needle at all. And I'm going to even say this. His promos in AEW feel way more rough and not well put together. So it just goes to show you how different the two are, and how one can make it this way and one can really leave a lot of room for error. So AEW needs to do more vignettes. Triple H finally got the message to make us care before debuting. Right, yeah, like that's the point, right? Like they haven't even really debuted her yet. Like They're really building anticipation for Jade, and they've done the same thing with Pillman. They've really done a great job at building him up before he ever debuts. Where with like Edge, they got in AEW, they got the pop, right? Like his music hits, comes out, does the whole thing, you know, and we're all excited in the moment. And then come Dynamite, none of the views are any different. Everything seems to be the same. There he is.
Man, I was on a hot streak. I mean, a full like 15 minutes.
I was just telling him, I was like, and as I wrap up this thought, but on the flip side, you look at AEW, they get the quick pop out of Edge, but then the machine's not there, right? So I feel like Edge's promos have been very rough on AEW. The clapback between him and Ricky Starks was terrible.
Oh.
It was like watching rookies, and Edge is better than that. And then on top of that, you got the quick pop, but then the viewership has not been affected at all in AEW. You have one of the, if we were to pick 5 stars right now who could still go in the ring in WWE's arsenal, Edge would have been one of those 5s that you would probably have said could move the needle anywhere he goes, but then goes to AEW and they found no way for him to move the needle. He does nothing for their stats.
He's been in AEW a full like 4 weeks maybe. It's felt flat, like just awful. And you guys, I've said it so many times, like I want all wrestling companies to succeed. This is not a hate on AEW show. I want to see them do well. I would, whenever they first started up, I lauded them on this podcast. I was a fan of AEW until about the point when Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson debuted. It was like they went into autopilot or just something, like that was their peak. And ever since then, it's kind of done this. Like they'll hit little plateaus, but just continuing on a downward spiral. And
they're getting the quick pop out of Edge, and WWE's getting the savory pop out of Jay Cargill and Brian Pillman Jr. And it's just crazy, the difference. So I wanted to bring that when we're talking about on the move. Those who have just made the move recently, like watch AEW. They'll sign Dolph Ziggler. They'll sign Mustafa Ali. They'll sign all the guys that are free and girls, and you might get the quick pop, but you're not going to get the needle to move the same way that WWE's been able to get the needle to move on people who were failures in AEW.
Well, the difference is AEW wants that big pop because just for the surprise and the shock factor. WWE is getting the prolonged pop, or whatever term you just used. But eventually, whenever Jade debuts in person live on TV, she's still going to get that pop.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think AEW needs to maybe take a page out of WWE, and let's say Ziggler does go to AEW, stretch it out, prolong it, do teaser vignettes, and I don't know. So
yeah, all the stuff they could have done with Edge to build up his debut, even if it was to be debuted at an ROH of all pay-per-views, pay-per-view, even if that's where they wanted to do it, all the things they could have done to lead up to his debut, all of the right now, and I'm going to say the same thing I said about AEW, about WWE. If that company hires CM Punk, I will not be watching. And I'm not a one-sided person. This was not an AEW thing. I will not watch as long as CM Punk works for that company, whoever it is that he works for. So with that being said, WWE's, everyone's saying they're dropping all these hints and stuff. That's smart of them. Whether they sign him or not, that's smart because they're building anticipation to something. Right. And it's like AEW doesn't know how to build anticipation. It's just not there. So with that being said, as far as on the move goes, man, who knows? at this point with some of these guys, because Endeavor could cut, 50 more people if they wanted to.
That's true.
Like we haven't even seen the beginning. I think beginning of the year, you're going to see a massive cut from WWE.
You're going to see guys like Gallows and Anderson leave again, I'm sure. Just by virtue of the fact they're getting paid to not take bumps, which good for them. I mean, they're saving wear and tear on their bodies, but you're not on TV, so there's really no need for you.
They're gonna trim the fat, right? Like they're gonna get rid of the people who might have some value, but not the value that they need. Like you could get so much more out of like Ciampa and Gargano as a tag team than you can get out of Gallows and Anderson. You can get so much more out of some of these tag teams that they should reunite or reestablish in a sense. I mean, look at it. They're getting more out of Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes as tag team champions than they can get out of any tag team that was established in the moment.
Yeah.
When we used to say the tag division wasn't being treated right, and at the time they had all the right tag teams and didn't have the right creative guy in charge. Mm-hmm. Now you have the right creative guy in charge, but all your tag teams feel lackluster. Yeah. The Viking Raiders can't stay healthy, and even when they can, they can't find a way to make that gimmick cool. Mm-hmm. The New Day can't stay healthy, and how many times can you have them win it before it's like, there's the Charlotte Flair effect all again?
Here's kind of here would be in my opinion, a pretty quick solution, at least as it relates to Raw and SmackDown. A lot of your good tag teams are in NXT right now.
Yeah.
Take 3 of them, 4 of them, put 2 on Raw, 2 on SmackDown, and then almost in an instant, you've got a credible tag team division on both brands. Now, what does that do for NXT?
Makes room.
Yeah.
Makes room for the next people up. So I agree with you. So I really think our on the move thing really has much more to do with timing. There's so much. We could go down the WWE roster right now, and we could probably name 30 to 40 names easily that could get cut, not because they're not talented, but because I really see Endeavor switching away from having a large inflated roster to a more targeted roster. This is who we're running with. NXT has our next people up. If you're not NXT, you got to be the it of the it. Otherwise, we don't have a spot for you. And honestly, that would be better for the company too.
Agreed. I want to address one name specifically, and this doesn't have to be a prolonged conversation, but where do you think Will Ospreay goes?
Ooh, so he would be a name that I feel like, if they haven't already, WWE is definitely in that man's ear.
Well, let's do this in 2 parts. Where do you want him to go, and then where do you think he'll go? I think that where do we want him to go is probably pretty simple.
I would want him to go WWE just because I think, again, when you see how they work the machine, if the machine can make Brian Pillman Jr., not that he's bad, but he doesn't have the same credibility. If they can make Brian Pillman Jr. feel special in NXT, if they can make Jade Cargill, who was basically called green and hated in AEW, and make her feel special, what could they do with someone as big as Will Ospreay, who has the track record, the look, the style? He's in the best shape of his life. He's probably in the prime of his career at this point in the game. I think he's an instant. When is he up? Is he able to sign now?
No, I think it's February.
So it would be after Rumble then.
After Rumble, but before Mania.
He could be a surprise match for somebody. They like to do that with Seth Rollins a lot.
And those two have their beef on social media. So
Seth Rollins is kind of the gatekeeper for new people. So if Seth Rollins starts teasing anything, you know that something's probably in the works. But
not to mention, he's got people in WWE that he's actually had conversations with. There's a video on YouTube where So Paul Heyman this is when he did his like one-man show or whatever a few years ago. I mean, it's maybe like 6-7 years ago. And he was maybe in England, I think. And if you guys are watching, you can correct me if I'm wrong on that. But Will Ospreay was actually in attendance and brought him on stage. And at that point, actually offered him. Now, this is when WWE and Evolve were partnering. Offered Will Ospreay an Evolve contract, and it's not an exclusive contract. Like he still could have done New Japan and wherever else. I don't know why he didn't do Evolve. At least I don't think he did. But nonetheless, I mean, Heyman right there, that's a big plus. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I read somewhere where he's had conversations with Bruce Pritchard. So, I mean, the connections are there.
And, I know I'm looking at Chris's comment. I know that he's said things in the past. You know who else said things in the past? Cody Rhodes, CM Punk. The list goes on of the guys who have, Braun Strowman had some things to say when he first got let go.
Yep.
I think there's a difference now that it's been made clear that Triple H is in charge of creative. Mm-hmm. The amount of people who have left when they get a chance to come back, if they get a chance to come back, don't be shocked when you see Adam Cole come back. Don't be shocked when you see these guys who have a strong connection to Shawn Michaels and to Triple H, who attribute a lot of their career at this point in the game to Shawn Michaels and Triple H. Those two guys are literally in charge of NXT and the creative process.
Ospreay and Gunther at WrestleMania. Oh,
and that could be fantastic. That could be who Gunther drops it to. You want to talk about potential candidates? It would be a really great, he does an open challenge or something at Mania, and Ospreay comes out, and so I think I want to see him in WWE. At the same time, I feel like he's one of those guys that just feels like he can never go there. I feel like there's a handful of guys at this point in time that I feel like no matter how many times the contract's offered, it just feels like the forbidden fruit to them. It feels like that they would be selling out to go to WWE where it's kind of a sure thing for someone like Ospreay. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't really love the idea of him in AEW, and I don't think they have a place for him. They have way too there. You want to talk about inflated? AEW has the exact same kind of wrestler 10 times over. They have all of them are the same build. All of them are the same skill set. All of them are the same match style. They're all so similar that it's really hard to tell everybody apart, and separate them, which is why I think MJF actually does so well there, because it's so easy for him to separate himself as the other guy. And I don't really love him in AEW. I think he's done everything that he can do in New Japan. But I think ultimately it boils down to AEW or WWE. I don't see him going TNA. I don't see him going NWA. I think that as exciting as it would be for him to go to TNA with their new setup, I don't think they have the pocketbook nor the exposure for Ospreay.
Yeah, so I'll wrap this up by ultimately, I think the options are you got three options for your Ospreay, and this kind of summarizes what you said. Three options are WWE exclusively, AEW exclusively, or he just continues to do independence, one-off for TNA, one-off for New Japan, one-off for Rev Pro, one-off for insert name of company that will take him and pay him. I think the travel aspect of doing that third option is less appealing for him now at his age. I think that AEW, I hope he's smart enough to realize that he might just get lost in the shuffle there with, Tony Khan seemingly want to handle 90% of the creative decisions and do too much on his own. So I'm just going to be positive and say I want him to wind up in WWE, and I'm just going to predict he winds up in WWE and call it a day.
Yeah.
That's my hot take.
Tilly's asking one of the dream matches outside of Walter. I think the matches are endless. I mean, when you're looking at guys like Seth Rollins, you're looking at Shinsuke Nakamura. I would
hold on. Don't think your mic is on. Just sounds very roomy. Sounds like it's on to me.
It's definitely on. I would love to see him versus Carmelo Hayes. I think him and Carmelo would have a really great match. Braun Breaker would be fun to watch as well if you're talking about guys coming up from NXT. Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, any of those, Cody Rhodes could always be fun again. You know, there's plenty of matches that could be done on a bigger stage in WWE that I think that he could have. So I think the sky's the limit for Ospreay and WWE. I think AEW is just an American version of what he's already been doing. So
yeah.
All right. Alex is talking, but now I don't hear him. I can't hear you. Nobody hears Alex. Does everybody still hear me? Check, check, check. If you can hear me, can you comment? Yes or no?
Check, check, check. Check.
Can't hear you at all now.
Check.
Okay, they can hear me. Okay, perfect. And can we hear Alex? Check. I can hear Alex.
Check.
I think we're getting yeses on Alex now too. Alex is back. Okay.
Check, check, check.
Yeah, Mike is good, Alex. We are working it out, y'all. Give us 1 second. He's resetting some things. Something to do. It's got something to do with his camera. Every time he turns his camera on, his computer is telling him that he needs to shout out all the programs that his camera's attached to for it to work, but he literally has no programs open with his camera. So it's been an ongoing problem the past couple of weeks. Cole, can you tell us your favorite game day recipes? To be honest with you, I don't really get to make a whole lot. Sundays are a very busy day for me. So typically, we go out to eat for lunch after church. And then when we get home, we make very simplistic food like chili or, buffalo chicken, something in the crock pot, something real easy. Cole, NFL Street or NBA Street? Yeah, okay, this one's easy for me, and here's why. I was an NBA Street guy because I never got NFL Street. So I can't even tell you if I would like NFL Street more because it was never a game that I got to play. But I played on GameCube and I played NBA Street Volume 2 like all the time. Stretch was my favorite to play with. Anyways. Yeah. Oh, I just went back up and read a couple of things. Ospreay versus LA Knight. I love that. I like that matchup a lot, actually. Yeah, so we do the buffalo chicken dip, and then we also do like shredded buffalo chicken. So we just in the crock pot, we just put chicken breasts in there and let it marinate with like buffalo sauce and stuff. And then once it gets done, then we just shred it up and we put it over like fries. Or if you're healthy, my wife puts it over broccoli. But yeah. Who was the wrestler behind Becky Lynch in her interview on Raw? I have no idea. Yeah, I just got a text. Alex is rebooting his computer, so just give us another minute or two, and we will be shifting gears. Also, we didn't say it at the beginning of the show, but if you were a part of our Road to Victory gaming event, we are going to do the raffle for that here in just a few moments. So stick around for that, as well as our big news. Don't go anywhere. We got really, really important news that we want everyone to be on and to hear. So as soon as Alex gets back on, we'll continue with all of that. I just made chili this weekend. It's Andrew Boehner. We were supposed to have him on the last show, and my apologies, y'all. I have just been fighting this cold that doesn't want to go away. Anytime the weather changes really hard, it hits my sinuses pretty good. And on top of all of that, I live in the Midwest, so the weather changes hard about every other day. So it just would not leave me alone. I see Alex getting logged back in, and I think he's back. Is he back?
Check 1 2.
There he is.
I'm so frustrated right now, guys. This is ridiculous.
Oh,
I think it's just a webcam. Like I said, because for those of you that didn't catch this at the beginning of the show, I mean, it was like I had a PC, all the equipment I've had, but this was running on a PC, completely switched out to a Mac, and then it's like it's still doing the same issues with the audio and the video, but mostly the video. But I think it's like the webcam is just being screwy, so might just have to get a different webcam. But anyway, we good with On the Move? I think we
kept talking about it while you were
pretty thoroughly covered it. Okay, so we're gonna transition a little bit. This is long overdue. We've got a drawing to do for the winner to our Road to Victory e-gaming pay-per-view event. I've already got it queued up. I was very careful not to exit out of that. I've got that on a separate browser, so it is ready and queued up here. I've got all of the names in the correct amount of names. And for those of you that aren't familiar, I think all of you on here are. But if you're not, I do 10 clicks, and the winner on click number 10 is our winner. So here we go. Switch windows here. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Click number 10 is Mr. Thomas Russell is the winner of our Road to Victory e-gaming event drawing. So Thomas, if you're still on here, congratulations. And that's that. So we're going to move on to Crown Jewel predictions. At last check, let me see here. Switch screens here. Looks like there are only 4 matches thus far advertised for the card. And we're doing this now because our next show will not be until after Crown Jewel has already aired. Am I correct in saying that?
Our next show is November 6th, so I don't know when Crown Jewel is, to be honest with you. I
thought it was on the 4th.
I'm a terrible wrestling fan. I have no idea.
That's all right. Okay. So, let's see. Let's just let's do it this way. Because I had it up on my computer, but I'm just kind of iffy on having too much stuff going on my computer at the risk of stuff freezing up again. So I'll just look at this on my phone. So we've got the fatal 5-way match for the Women's World Championship. We've got Rhea Ripley, Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler, Zoe Stark, and Raquel Rodriguez. Who you got?
Say the names again.
Rhea Ripley, Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler, Zoe Stark, Raquel Rodriguez.
All right. This seems like the safest way to have Rhea drop, does it not?
It does, but I don't think she does.
So the problem I have with Crown Jewel events is that they're usually played pretty safe.
Mm-hmm.
And Judgment Day is the hottest thing going right now. I don't think you can have her drop, but it also feels like the safest way to have her drop. At the same time, looking at the people in the match, and there's really no one that I think is like ready. Like I'm gonna go with Rhea as well.
Let's see. Singles match for the U.S. Championship: Ray against Logan Paul. This might be the hardest one to predict.
I think I'm gonna go Logan Paul.
I am actually also. I think that just they're going to strike while the iron's hot on the publicity aspect of things. Ray isn't a bad U.S. champion, but it's not doing anything for the championship itself.
It'll be a short run for Logan Paul, but with the way that they had him announced during the boxing match that he was challenging for it.
Oh yeah,
how they've been cutting the promos and stuff. It's at Crown Jewel. You want one big pop. I think, one big change. I think this is an easy one to do. I'm going to go Logan Paul.
Yep. And you guys that are still on here, I know our viewership is about at its peak right now for the entire show as it is right now. Stick with us. We're going to do those announcements. Give us like 5 or 10 minutes to run through the rest of this. Couple other things, and then we'll I promise we'll get there, but we want you to stick around. Let's see. World Heavyweight Championship: Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre.
Man, every time I think Seth should drop it, it's always the opposite. I'm gonna say Seth retains.
Same here.
Actually, I'm gonna say this. This would be the match that you could have Damian Priest technically cash in on, because Drew could utterly destroy him, right? Then Damian Priest comes out and cashes in. It's Crown Jewel. That's a great way to get a pop.
I do wonder what the backstage hints, like when they drop the little hints that like Drew and Rhea are talking backstage, if anything comes of it.
Yeah, there's a part of me that feels like they could kick, so technically the answer would be, I think Seth Rollins wins. Whether or not he walks out of Crown Jewel as champion could still be a whole nother conversation.
Okay. And then undisputed Universal Championship: Roman Reigns, LA Knight.
I hate this match. I hate this match because it literally buries LA Knight on the run that he's on. Hopefully he can recover, because there's no way he's beating the tribal chief.
No.
It's Roman wins. I am interested to see how they do it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's the only 4 matches they've got advertised so far. And usually Crown Jewel, they might add 2 more matches at best. So, but I know that they have a house show the same night where they've had like, they mentioned that Gunter and I think Asuka are not going to be on Crown Jewel because they're on the house show. So I don't know. We'll see. I wanted to bring up early Survivor Series thoughts, maybe even some predictions. First off, do we think it's a given that we're going to get a War Games match with, the predictions, news, etc. that's out there at the moment? Do you think they're setting up a War Games match?
I definitely think they're setting up a War Games match. The cheesy "let the games begin" line out of Pierce. The introduction of all. I am excited that Nick Aldis has at least got a role on TV in some kind of form or fashion. That is exciting. So the introduction of him as a new authority figure, it brings me back to like old school. Like, this is why we need the draft and why we need a separate Raw and SmackDown. They need GMs. They need to be in competition with each other. This is the wrestling that I miss. I miss the Teddy Long versus Eric Bischoff, or I miss the competitive nature between Raw and SmackDown. And so it's kind of cool to see that little tease of that, even if it's just for Survivor Series, and then they go back to who cares on what show who's on. But like them talking about finding this person or kicking this person out because they're not actually on this show, I was like, that's cool. I actually like that. I miss the invasion angles and all that stuff. Like the year that Becky Lynch broke her nose, and it was because they were invading each other's shows. Like that excited me. I was pumped about those things. The only thing that would make it better is if NXT was involved.
Agreed.
I don't think that's going to happen, but I'm excited. Raw versus SmackDown. I think it's going to be a War Games match. It's the best thing to do for Survivor Series because you don't really have like a Roman Reigns Tribal Chief SmackDown crew versus a Raw, and you don't really have, like last year you had the ability to kind of go, Tribal Chief, the Bloodline versus insert names here. But you don't really have that this year. So it's like, how do you do the War Games match without that? Oh, you create lines drawn between SmackDown and Raw. It's going to be interesting because it's probably going to be Roman and Solo for sure, maybe Jimmy, and then watch it be like Kevin Owens on their team. And then on the other side, it's Cody, Sammy, Jay, all these people. And now it's kind of the roles reversed of last year, where Kevin might let Sammy get pinned by Roman to win the match. I don't know. There's some storylines there.
I mean, it doesn't fit with the whole bloodline against, Cody, Jay, Sammy, etc. But I think it'd be cool if, now I don't know what condition their bodies are in, but I would love to have Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce actually wrestle in the War Games matches on their respective teams. Probably won't happen, but
if they, at least a spot, like if they're not actually in the match, but they both somehow end up in the match kind of thing. Like, if Nick Aldis is kind of more playing the heel, he gets involved first, and then Pierce comes down to like even the score a little bit. That could be fun. Or if they rumble a little bit outside of the ring, just give us a little taste at least.
Right. Anything else? Survivor Series thoughts?
I'll say this. I think Survivor Series needs to be their best pay-per-view of the year. Like, I think they need to find a way to top off this calendar year with the biggest pay-per-view that they've hit record numbers pretty much in every pay-per-view that they've done. Mm-hmm. I think they need to just, where is it at this year? Is it Chicago?
Yeah.
Right. So, with the rumors of it being CM Punk being there, they've already sold out and bumped capacity, I think, if I read correctly.
Yeah, they're redoing like the whole stage setup and, actually removing a lot of their stage rigging and like their set itself just to open up more seats.
Yeah. So, I mean, if Punk's there, he'll get the pop. It'll be the last wrestling show I watch until Punk retires. Or gets fired, more likely fired than retired. But outside of that, I just think it needs to be their best show. It might be smart to set Jade Cargill up against whoever one of the women's champions are. Jade versus Rhea could be entertaining. If Jade, the only thing I'm hoping is that during this time, Jade has sharpened her in-ring skills. I really hope that this time around, she looks more believable in the ring. So her versus Rhea, or like a her and Charlotte match, something, her and Bianca tag match versus the tag team champions at the time, whatever the case may be, they really need to stack this card, and this card needs to feel and be big. Whatever that looks like, I'm not sure. But it definitely needs to be there.
Agreed. Tell you what, real quick, someone, I think Jamie just said Cody Rhodes and Damian Priest was just added. Who you got real quick?
Just Cody Rhodes versus Damian Priest.
Yeah. Just singles match.
I gotta go Cody.
Yeah. Same here. All right, let's get to this while I still have a camera and microphone. So, and Cole, feel free to jump in at any point. I've kind of gone through my head. I mean, a lot as far as how I wanted to, articulate this. So we do have some bittersweet news. Cole and I have made the difficult decision that at least as a regular recurring show, we will be ending the Going Broadway podcast. Our next our finale, so to speak, will be 2 weeks from tonight. What's the date on that? The 7th, I think.
The 6th.
Okay. And this is not, this is not a rib. This is not, we're not doing a swerve. I want you to know that this is a real thing, guys. And quite frankly, I'm sad / bittersweet about it just because of you guys. You guys that have been with us for the last, almost 4 or 5 years. But Cole and I are both in a season of life where it's just like, we've got other priorities, other things that, I can't speak for Cole as it relates to the interest in wrestling and keeping up with it. But as a byproduct of just everything I've got going on in my life, plus again, other things I deem more important and quite frankly, interesting and entertaining. Wrestling has become secondary. Just to be quite honest with you guys. So if we can't do this every week, much less, we haven't been able to do it every 2 weeks. There's a point where we were doing 2 shows a week. If we can't do this at least every week and give it the attention and do it in excellence that we want to do, we talked about it. And to be honest, we actually made this decision in July, I think.
Yeah, we had made the decision to end it in a more longer fashion. We were trying to drag it out a little bit longer and kind of put a nice bow on this. And the more that we tried to tie the bow, the more that we learned that our finger kept getting stuck in the knot. Like it's just not working. Ever since we stepped away and we took the show over on our own, we moved to nights. We both had a concern about scheduling, because when we did the show originally, we were in the morning. Our family commitments aren't involved in that. Alex and mine's jobs were both flexible to do a morning show. All of that stuff, it was a way more manageable thing because it was at a time slot that was more manageable for both of us. Now it just cuts into everything. It cuts into family time. It cuts into Alex and I, our days are just, we never find a day that lines up. A night that's free for him is a night that's busy for me. And we're, also the planning and the excellence that we would want this show to have, it falls on the 2 of us now to do it. And it took more than 2 of us to do it before. And we had a great team and a great backing behind us that we just don't have it in this season. And I always used to say as well, the second that it became something that I felt like I had to do, I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
I was having fun when we were doing it. I was enjoying it. And now Alex and I really, I think I can speak for both of us, where it really feels like we kind of have to put on a show. It feels like we have to stay up to date with the product. And I'm going to tattle on myself. I haven't watched wrestling in probably 3 months. It's not even because I don't like it. It's because I don't have time. Yeah. The job that I've taken, the transitions and the things that I'm going on in my life, I'm exhausted by the time I can even sit down and watch any show, let alone a 3-hour or 2-hour long program, and the amount of programming that there is in a week. I could never even come close to staying up with the product enough to speak on it, to share on it, to have an opinion about it. I'm just not in the same place that I was, a year and a half ago when we first transitioned. So everything that Alex said, I echo it. We absolutely love our fan base and the people that we've been able to build relationships with through this show. It's been an honor to do the show. When we did this, we never even thought that it would turn into anything. We thought we'd have 2 to 3 listeners. I thought one of them would be my mom, and that would, we had no expectations for it to be what it is, and to watch all of the cool things that we've gotten to do. I'll never forget them, and there'll be moments that will last forever. And I will say this, Alex and I do plan to keep, I'm seeing a lot of questions.
Yeah.
We do plan to keep the Discord up. We do plan to continue to have our wrestling community still intact. So of you,
I'll just interject real quick. The only thing that will change, be gotten rid of, etc., our X/Twitter page, whatever you want to call it, we'll probably do away with that before the end of the year. But Facebook, we'll keep our Facebook open. We'll keep our Discord open. We'll even keep our Twitch channel open. Just, someone asked special watch alongs. We'll pop on every now and then. This is just as, a regular recurring show. We're not going to be able to do this once a week, even once every 2 weeks. I'm not even we might pop on once or twice a year, just, we kept it up as long as possible. The Patreon page, you guys that are our current patrons, there's not really going to be anything to contribute to. I mean, if we're not doing a show, but I mean, I'll keep the Patreon up just as a means in case we ever do a gaming event and people want first dibs. You could rejoin or re-sign up. I don't think there's a fee for us to keep the Patreon open, even if we don't have any patrons. But
so like he said, we've still planned to do other things with it. This is not this is more us saying that the way that it is now is done. We're not committing to a show on a weekly or a bi-weekly or a monthly. We just don't have the time to prepare. As far as the community that we built, that's not going anywhere. The Discord is still going to be there. Alex and I may pop onto the Going Broadway page and post a post on Facebook and get some interaction. I might throw a gaming event out there every now and again and just do a winner takes all kind of raffle type thing. Still, all of that's still intact. But the show itself, the actual podcast aspect of it, it has to go away for a good while. To say we'll never do it again would just not be fair, because who knows?
Never say never.
But to say that we're going to keep doing a scheduled episodic type podcast, it's not there. We're neither one of us have the time or the commitment to be able to do it. But it's more of if we both are able. Alex and I are really great friends outside of this, and so we can always hit each other up and be like, hey, we would love to I'd love to hop on and talk about Mania, or talk about Rumble, or talk about AEW Revolution, or talk about, how Cole hates CM Punk and never wants to see his wrestling ever again. We could schedule a time, announce it ahead of time, and still do, a one-off. But outside of that, we're happy and sad, because on the other end, as much as I love you guys, I also am happy to be able to say, hey, we had a good run. We did some really cool things, man. And we had a really great run. I'm happy with it. I'm proud of it. And I'm also happy to step into some other things in my life and let this be what it was. It's
like that Kenny Rogers song. You got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, and know when to walk away. And, it's just, we both agreed that it's time. And, I won't say it's, the equivalent of, for those of you that are familiar with this, the equivalent of whenever WCW was shut down, and Ric Flair was thrilled about that. I'm not that level of elation, so to speak, but I do echo Cole's sentiments in the sense that this just became more of an obligation in the sense of preparing for it, dealing with these tech issues over the last, few weeks. I'm a firm, you guys know us, that, those of you guys have watched us for quite some time, that, that we're believers, we're Christians, and I'm a firm believer in that, God does things to just kind of confirm what, we already feel like is the right decision. And I really feel like that these tech issues that just came out of nowhere, like no explanation for it, and it happening on a week to week to week basis, just, further confirmation that, it's time we're doing the right thing. And so, but there is I said this is a bittersweet announcement. Now, the sweet side of the announcement. So we are going to have our last podcast on, 2 weeks from now, Monday the 6th, was it? I think.
Yeah.
Monday the 6th. Same time, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. We are going to have at least one surprise guest appearance, maybe more. I do have one that's confirmed. Card subject to change. Hopefully it doesn't, but I do have one confirmation. I do have one maybe, and I have I guess it's also a maybe, but it's like a check back with them closer to the date. So I guess it's technically a maybe. But it's really going to be more just like hanging out, celebrating. We don't want to end this on a sour or a sad note. We want to end this doing what we, set out to do when we first started this podcast. And that was just have fun, regardless of who was watching us live, regardless of podcast metrics, how many views or listens that we had. Like we said it over and over, whether we had, 5 people, 50 people, 500 people on with us live, we were going to do this as long as we were having fun. And, like Cole said, this kind of just some point along the way, it stopped being less fun. It was still fun, chatting and hanging out with you guys, but it became less fun and more of an obligation. And so anyway, that being said, please join us for our finale 2 weeks from today. Again, one surprise confirmed guest, 2 maybes. One of them was basically check back with me closer to the date. I'm going to follow up with all 3, and I hope to hear back from more, just because any guests that we have on will probably just be like a quick, 5, 10, 15, 20 minute hangout chat kind of thing. Like I'm not going to put together any kind of like interview preparation script or anything like that. Whoever joins us, we're just going to shoot the breeze with them. At some point I'll probably share, names that we, had talked to that we wanted to bring on the podcast over the years that, just didn't pan out, conversations that we had with people that you'll probably be surprised by. Quite frankly, that I'm surprised by that we even, got to have conversations with, excuse me, but, I don't know. I'm not going to divulge who is, who we've got coming on. But we will also be having the biggest giveaway we've had in the 4 or 5 years that we've done this. And it's, as always, it's only eligible to the live viewers. I'm not saying what's going to be given away, but I'll just promise when I say it's the biggest one we've ever done, and good chance possibly we'll ever do. So, next week, 2 weeks from tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, we're just going to hang out, chat, share some memories. Depending on what we've got, going on as far as guests and, who might join us, who might not join us, who if stuff falls through and we just don't have anybody that ends up joining us, if the one person we've got confirmed cancels on us altogether, we might just open it up to you guys and just say, hey, who wants to jump on with us and chat, share memories, share some laughs, because it just as much as we want it to have fun, we want it also to be a tribute and a testament to you guys that have, that supported us and watched us for the last 4 or 5 years, and just really express how much we appreciate you guys and hanging out and sticking with us. And, just again, that community that's been formed. And that's my biggest takeaway from this whole experience was the community, just that camaraderie that, like we're having belt raffles and y'all are buying spots for each other. Like, just the generosity of you guys that have sent Cole and I gifts unsolicited, and not just like random, cheap gifts. Like you guys sent us belts, for crying out loud. So anyway, I could keep rambling, but I know it's about 10 after 8. So Cole, did you have anything to add or?
No, I mean, you nailed it on the head. We love you guys. Like I said, I look forward to chatting with y'all in the Discord and continuing to talk wrestling, even if it's not in this format and in this setting. And like Alex said, I appreciate every single person here. Anybody who's ever given $1 to the Patreon or done the gaming events, the belt raffles, people who have been so generous and sent shoes or belts or toys, or, like
our Pro Wrestling Tees page, those of you guys that have donated prizes for us to do for our giveaways. Like, I mean, it just goes on and on.
Not 90% of my wrestling memorabilia collection is because of y'all. and I appreciate it. And I'm trying not to cry, but it's been such a great ride. And like I said, I never thought I'd get to do anything like this. And so to be able to do it well, to be successful at it. We shared this once before, but to have people contacting us wanting to buy our show because we had done that well with it. It means the world. And we couldn't have done that without every single one of y'all sharing posts and hopping on faithfully every week and just supporting us the way that you guys have. And so from the bottom of my heart, thank you. There will be more thank yous to come on our last show, but we do love you guys, and we look forward to making that last show special.
Yeah, and we can't promise, the emotions are probably going to run heavy on our last show, so we're not promising there won't be tears. We're not promising there won't be laughs, because I think there will be all of the above. But it'll still be fun regardless. And that's really all I got. So it's about that time, Cole. Any final thoughts?
Guys, as always, thank you for watching the greatest wrestling podcast ever. We sincerely appreciate every single one of you. Make sure you join us November 6th, same time as always, for our last show, the biggest giveaway we've ever done. Make it a special one. Tell all your friends. If you see someone who's not on here right now that's been a part of the show in some form or fashion in the past 4 years, tell them to be here, because we want to be able to say hello and see you later one more time to each and every one of you. So thank you guys so much. We love you guys, and have a great evening.
We're out, guys.